going on? How you doing?
Good.
Do you guys have a meeting here today?
I have no idea. I'm looking for community radiology.
Yep, that way.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and hop into this now. So this is definitely one of my favorite courses to teach because what I found with agents in marketing and any kind of business with marketing, any little bit of extra marketing that you wind up doing, you can get a 100% jump in your business. Sometimes it's not sustained, right? So you get kind of a nice, you can sometimes hit a home run if you haven't done some marketing and you start doing some marketing, knock some of that low-hanging fruit out. But what I'm going to work with you guys on is kind of creating a consistent plan for marketing. So starting off, 5 principles you need to know for marketing. And we're going to work off this, the white sheet for right now, the three-pager. Number 1, you got to know your budget and track your results. Far too often, people start a marketing campaign without a budget in mind. They wind up running out of time or money before they're able to actually see great results out of their marketing campaign. So you got to start with your budget first. Once you understand what your budget is, then you understand, potentially how big your audience is, how long you can run the ad campaign, and where you're going to deliver that ad campaign. Right? It's going to be the difference between putting a sandwich board on at 108 and 97 or running a Super Bowl ad. Right? Is going to be your budget. Second thing is knowing your audience. My big rule on this is my first dollar spent's always with my sphere of influence, but you got to know who your audience is. You got to know who you're going to be marketing to. Third thing is you got to know what your message is. And I always find that genuine marketing is the most effective. 4, know your delivery method, right? How are you going to push this message out? And then lastly, number 5, knowing your competition. Who are you competing against, right? Will your ad look identical to someone else's? And or will your ad really drive a difference between you and your competition? So we'll kind of break this down. So first rule with your budget, that's kind of up to you guys. You guys need to, it's whatever your budget is, it's your budget, right? But you got to stick to it. So we'll kind of drop to the second rule, your audiences. So if you were going to advertise a listing, who's a potential audience you would advertise to?
Renters.
Renters, okay. Who else would you advertise to if you had a new listing?
Your Facebook list.
Okay.
Friends list.
All right.
Who's the first-time buyers?
Okay. First-time home buyers, okay.
The most obvious move-up people, say townhouses to your single-family home.
Okay. Who else? Who would you market? You have a brand new listing, Pat. Who would you market to?
The potential buyer class, whoever they may be, I would determine are these downsizers, millennials
Okay.
moving up.
Millennials. Got the move up. Okay.
Neighbors.
Neighbors.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
Churches,
Church.
businesses.
You said lenders, Alex? Uh-huh. Actually, you can put lenders over here.
Your sphere, just let them know you're doing something.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? It's a pretty good list. So I divided this list into 2. And what you'll see is there are 2 groups of people out there in the world who you can market to. There are people you know, and then there are people you don't know, right? The people you know, this is going to be a smaller group of people, right? Obviously, this is kind of a more refined group. The people you don't know, you have a lot of opportunities and options out there. So when we talk about audiences, it's just important to understand that You're going to have more traction with some than others, but you're going to have a bigger marketplace with those you don't know. With my marketing, I always encourage agents, start with the people you know, right? My first dollar spent with all my marketing goes to the people I know. They're the ones who know you, like you, trust you. Your message will be heard much louder and clearer than the people who don't know you, like you, or trust you yet. So, let's talk about the people we do know. So, a Sphere database. Size of a Sphere database. Do you guys have an idea? How much are your all? How big are your alls?
412.
Okay.
I'm at 450, but a lot of it's my, the guy I'm working with.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say that's 412, but let's not,
All your
a
best
third,
friends.
a third of those are waste,
Yeah.
Okay.
you know.
Yep. So the rule of thumb from Buffini is you should be somewhere around 150 to 250 sphere of influence. Anything above 250, then it becomes a little bit of a phone list. Anything less than 150, you know a lot more people than that. And with that said, Tom Ferry says that 10% of your database, if you're doing it correctly, 10% of your database size should create a transaction every year. So if you have a 200-person database, you should be getting 20 transactions from your database if you're doing it correctly.
That's what he says?
Yep. So to make sure you're doing it correctly, and if you look at it, it's making sure that you're doing like a 33 touch program,
Yeah.
so that they are getting some type of contact from you 33 times throughout the year. Most of those are going to be passive touches, but where folks really start succeeding is having active touches with their sphere of influence. So Brian Buffini always had the squeezing an orange to make orange juice. It takes passive on one hand plus active with another, right? Squeezing an orange with two hands is a lot easier than trying just with one hand, right? If you're just calling people, you're going to get some traction, but it's a little hard. If you're just emailing, writing notes, sending postcards, you'll get some traction, but it's a little bit harder. Both together is where you create really good traction. So that's why having a 33 touch program is effective with your database, and that's where he comes up with that 10% rule. With that said, though, if your database can only be somewhere around 200, 250 max, you're going to max out in a sphere-based marketing and business only. So you've got to have other pillars of business. Second part of this class, we're going to go into some of those other pillars as well. All right, does that make sense?
It does.
You think that
Your sphere is always expanding then. Every time you have a client, you've added 2 more people to your sphere.
potentially, but it's also shrinking in some cases.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because you got clients who are moving to North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Delaware.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Sphere reduction.
All right. So speaking of the sphere, so if you were going to get a referral from one of your clients, what would you want them to say?
Hard worker, diligent, trustworthy,
Okay.
tall. Oh, yeah.
Demoshly handsome.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh-huh. Okay. So have you ever gone on like a listserv or on Facebook and someone says, hey, I'm looking for a good mechanic. I'm looking for a good pediatrician, right? And, people give them a list of different pediatricians or whatnot, or mechanics. So what, when you look at those lists, what differentiates the difference between, because a lot of times people will use the same, kind of platitudes when they kind of refer someone.
Yeah.
Trustworthy, honest, hardworking. What are things that would distinguish you when someone's giving you a referral?
Above and beyond, did more than we anticipated.
Okay.
Answered every phone call.
Yeah.
So
Did everything needed done.
Molly just hit on a great point. So I think where the best referrals come is when someone is specific
Yeah.
about the referral, right? Just like when you get a review from a client who's really specific, who mentions what you did with the appraisal to get the transaction through, what you did with the home inspection to get the transaction through. Similarly, what you want to do with your marketing campaign, because you've got this audience of people who know you, like you, trust you, they're more kind of receptive to your message. You want to make sure that they understand when they refer you out, you want them to refer you out with certain components. of how you do your business, right? So Pat's great real estate agent, honest, trustworthy, dependable. When he does his open houses, he puts out 60 signs. We had like 40 people through our open house, right? That's the referral that you want when it comes with a system. So the way I look at my marketing campaigns is I want to make sure we integrate our systems into our marketing so that we market our systems to our database. And I'll get into how we do that. Okay, so we talked about that. What's the best referral? Best referral is a referral with a system. So then once we know who we're going to market to, it becomes what we're going to push out to them, what our message is going to look like. So the way I look at marketing, it's going to fall into three types of marketing. The best marketing pieces have all three components. Some of your marketing pieces will have one, some will have two. So top 7 messages as a real estate agent to push out in your messages. And I'll kind of hit on these, which ones cover all three. So bringing clients closer to your brand is one of the messages, right? Most all marketing, if done correctly, has your picture, your phone number, your brokerage. It's going to have you've branded it, right? That most all marketing is going to cover number 1. Number 2 is brings clients closer to your product. This is a listing, right? Typically, this is when you bring them closer to a product you're actually currently selling. And then number 3 is brings clients closer to your process. This is how you list and sell homes. So some marketing does all 3, some only does 1. So we'll get into that. So most effective marketing pieces to push out to them. So my top number 1 marketing piece to push out is a just listed, open house, or coming soon card. And I've talked, some of you guys I've coached with, I've talked about this a lot. I find that's the best one. It does all 3 things. Creates branding, you're actively pushing a product, and it shows them your process. You, to sell homes, use high quality photography, and you also target market using print. So it does all 3 things. And looking at it also, when I'm targeting my marketing to my sphere of influence, lets them know, I'm busy, I'm currently working on product, and I've got a process, I use target marketing. But also for my current client, who I'm just listed coming soon or open house inviting their product, I also get a boost from them because I'm actually showing them actively how I'm marketing their current home. And this is where when you develop your marketing campaigns, a lot of agents wind up going to, a just sold card. A lot of folks wind up doing just sold cards. And I find those are great too, and we'll hit this down the line. But you miss out on getting the credit with your current client on how you're currently marketing their home. So the second best card is one that I like a lot. Is it's a I have a buyer for. So in a low inventory marketplace like we are in right now, sending out a card or some type of marketing to your sphere of influence that says, hey, look, I'm looking in this marketplace for this product for Dan and Sandy, shows your clients, number 1, branding. It doesn't necessarily show them number 2, which is our product, right? Because we're not listing a current property, but it does show them process. So for my buyers who I cannot find inventory for, here is what I do. I target market. I get out there. I do more than just sitting and waiting for what's on MLS. We wound up doing this. All right, so this is one of my clients. They were looking for a house in Delabrook Farm. We sent this card to Delabrook Farm, but I also sent it to my sphere of influence. Ideally, what I'm trying to do, again, we talk about that referral, right, that you would get from your client. What I wanted to do is set the stage with my sphere of influence that if they work with me and we cannot find inventory, because a lot of times I have a lot of move-up buyers, right, who are selling their current house, going to something else. That's a difficult process because sometimes the next house won't take a home for sale contingency. Sometimes you can sell the current house very easily, but can't find something to go to. I kind of help them understand that, look, I'm going to do extra stuff to get them their next house. So that's number 2 on the list. That's the I have a buyer for. Number 3, best marketing piece you can send out. One is, if you do any lots, is new construction. I look at places where agents lose money. One of the biggest places agents lose money is on new home construction. You get the phone call, hey, come list my house. We just got a new house. And you're like, oh, great, where? And they bought a $1.4 million Toll Brothers house without you, because they didn't know you can sell new homes. If you do have any land, so we had a couple land listings. This was the first draft. We actually changed this up. And we put a line, a kind of banner across that said, bring your builder for new home construction. So you want to kind of make sure your database understands that you do new home construction. If you ever sell a property for one of your clients and they buy a brand new home from one of the builders, publicize that, right? It's important that your database understands and other people understand that you do new home sales. Number 4 is an investor special, right? That's another area. I have a lot of clients right now who are looking at ways to diversify. They hear about, there's tons and tons of shows that are all talking about flips. So they're looking at that, well, should I hop into that marketplace? There's a lot of late night TV shows about it and whatnot too. So there's ways that if you've come across a property that might be a great investor special, is pushing this out to your marketplace. Seeing if you kind of create any interest within them. Number 5, before and after staging. So before and after staging, this shows branding. It could show potentially a listing, brand new listing that you did staging on. And number 3, process. Shows them how you do your business, right? Again, I look at trends that are in the marketplace, HGTV, a lot of it. Staging, the aesthetics of a property are very important. So showing them what you did with, this was the kitchen before, here's the kitchen afterwards. Here's the family room before, here's the family room after photos, to show them your process of how you do business. We actually worked with Denise on doing time-lapse videos of them staging properties as well, to push it out to the marketplace, just to show them this is our real work. And people are fascinated with that kind of stuff. I mean, they're drawn to it. They want to see that transformation of a property. And if you're at the center of that, it's very important. All right. Number 6 is what we call our proof of success pieces. These can be just sold cards. They can be, I'm not a big fan of under contract cards because sometimes you wind up, I'm like really superstitious.
I am too. I don't post anything until I know I'm past all my contingencies.
Yeah.
And even then, I get nervous about posting anything even before a week before closing because anything can happen.
So, like a just sold, sometimes what Vatsana Brundage, she does a lot of marketing for me. She calls them like power cards, where you put together like end of the year. Hey, thank you to all my clients for referrals this year. Your 14 different listings and buyers you sold. Your service plan, and I'll show you one of the other cards. So proof of success, we did one for price per square foot. So we sent this out to our database. In 2006, we sold the number 1 highest price per square foot in Olney Brookville between $650 and $750. And the second highest price per square foot in Olney Brookville between $550 and $660. So we were trying to push that out to our database just to show them we don't have like 50 different listings that we sold in a year. We only sold a handful, but we wanted to show them that it was high quality that we were doing. So, I mean, you can kind of tweak your message however you like.
Finding the positives in what you.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, and it's what we call proof of success. And you just try to find those moments in your business where, you sold the highest comp in a neighborhood, right? Most agents will just send that postcard to that neighborhood. But sending it to your sphere gives them also confidence that you know what you're doing, even though it's not in the neighborhood that they live in. And that's why it's always important with a lot of this. I'm always, first dollar spent is always in your sphere of influence. Still on number 6, other things, recommendations, right? Have clients write a review about you. You can always put that in a marketing piece, but make sure it's specific, right? Tee them up so that they tell the story about the appraisal, right? That you found, property that had sold off market and the appraiser used that one. Things how you saved the day. Have them put that specific information in. Last, the 7th message to push out is your unique selling proposition. Your unique selling proposition tells them branding, but it also tells them process. So a unique selling proposition is something that you do in the marketplace that makes you different. And I look at a lot of agents in their listing presentations, right? What do you do differently than other agents? Sometimes you guys actually take for granted a lot of the things you do differently. But it takes a moment to kind of look into your business and be introspective and figure out, okay, in my processes, how do I create advantages for my clients? And then articulating those advantages. I put it number 7th. It's a little lower on the list because if you don't have an actual product that you can apply that process to, clients understand product. They understand shutters and gutters. They don't necessarily understand the other 90% of the business that we do on a day-to-day basis. So if you can tie any of your process to how it affected a product, clients get it a lot better. Okay, that's the message. Number 4 is vehicles. So and I put in here vehicles, what methods do you use to push your message out? I'll throw it out there. What do you guys use?
Cards, just
Okay.
like you were showing.
Postcards? Yep.
Facebook ads,
Okay.
Instagram ads, Google ads.
What are you doing with Google ads?
We haven't done them in a while, like specifically on Google, but we used to run pay-per-click ads, and then it had, I'm probably not using the right word, but like syndication to it, where like if you looked on Zillow and then you looked on other pages, like that ad continues to pop up on
Okay, yeah.
various pages.
Retargeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, retargeted ads.
Okay.
So we used to do a lot of those.
Other ways you guys, things you use to market? Email?
Email.
Okay. Yep. Word of mouth is another one. And it's a simple one, but word of mouth is one. So with your vehicles, again, a lot of this is going to be determined based on what your budget is, right? It's going to also determine kind of where your audience is. If you are going to go for your sphere of influence and none of them are on social media, right? Probably pushing your message out on social media isn't the best idea. Email used to be really, really popular, but we're seeing really low open rates on emails that are coming out of bulk message campaigns. Google's gotten really good. Gmail has gotten great on figuring out what is considered a promotion and what's really important.
Yeah.
So there's actually, BombBomb works a lot with its clients, kind of making sure, almost like trimming your list down, right? If you are not getting engagement with clients, Google will hold that against you. So if you send out 2,500 emails every month, right? But only, let's say 60 people are actually opening that email, Google's going to flag you right away as spamming. And they're going to either put you in spam or they're going to put you in promotions if you're lucky. But you're not going to show up in people's, primary inboxes. If you're getting a high percentage of open rate, Google's going to let you through. So the old adage, kind of getting this huge bulk list together and just maybe one person. And what you'll find is maybe that first email will get through, but your next emails won't. So keep that in mind when it comes to email marketing. The other thing is with social media, if you are using social media, I find that social media works when you are social, right? When you have activity on your personal side as well as the professional. Again, I've got some friends who are constantly who sell as well, and they are constantly on social media selling all the time. That I've tuned down these people, turned them off. I'm just sick of the sales pitches. So you got to sprinkle some of the social in with. I'd say you sprinkle a little bit of the business in with the social. Attract people socially to your business, and then give them a little bit of business down the road. Make sense? Okay. And then lastly, number 5, your competition is. So I see that most agents in our office wind up competing against 2 types of agents. 3, technically 3. Sometimes they're competing against an agent who's very similar to them, but a lot of times where they find is someone's either looking at a mega agent, right? Maybe the person who has been farming them or does a lot of business in town, or they're potentially looking at a fee for service, a limited service broker, what we call discount brokers. I tend to not call them discount brokers because I think that's almost a compliment. Discount's a good thing, right? When really what they are is limited service.
Because the discount is not usually long.
Yeah. Okay, so again, competing against mega broker and limited service broker. If you build an effective marketing campaign, you can compete. Your competition can no longer compete with you. So you almost figure out what their weaknesses are, and you build your marketing campaign to create a differentiator between you and them. Again, the way I look at this is the people who are most likely going to pick up on the nuances are going to be my sphere of influence. That's the reason why I want to arm them with education on how I do my business through my marketing campaign throughout the year, because they're the ones who are not only just going to be, they're going to be using me, and I've got to pull through and do a good job for them, but also they're my referral source. They're out in the marketplace, hopefully telling people about me, and hopefully they're telling people about me with my systems. Here's how he does it differently. Okay, so looking at the mega marketer, a lot of times what happens is they've got a lot of tools and resources, but I find that they miss out on the high touch, right? They're high tech potentially, but they are low touch. And I try to do both. I try to mark them, that I show my clients that I will market like them, but I do some of the other, the details that they will not do. So that gets into what I do as my 9-step multiple offer plan. So share this with some of y'all. 9-step multiple offer plan. Okay, coming soon. We use coming soon religiously. Create a virtual line at the door. Most agents don't do this. I looked in MRIS. There were 1,577 active listings in Montgomery County. Only 89 of those were in coming soon status. I got to believe in the next 21 days there's going to be more than 89 listings in all of Montgomery County. So a lot of agents are not using this coming soon status, right? So I'm creating an advantage for my client that other agents aren't going to do. Number 2, professional photography and drone photography. Yeah.
Can I ask, why do you think that coming soon is used more often? Do you think it's just because people are just moving so quickly that they're just like listing and putting on the market?
I think most agents are reactionary. I don't think they have a plan, so that they're typically just putting them on whenever they put them on. There isn't a whole lot of forethought into when and how a property goes on the market. Some agents do a great job of it. Everything's orchestrated, and that's what I'm trying to explain to them, that I am looking at all the little details to maximize your exposure on the market.
Right.
So, yeah, and I think, again, looking at how agents market, I think a lot of it is, again, reactionary, that they're not really thinking ahead.
That makes sense.
So they got to get it on as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Professional photography and drone. Again, most agents I find don't do this or don't do this well. Number 3, just listed, coming soon, or open house, invite mailed to target market. Most agents don't do this. They don't use print. What I'm trying to do is, this is my marketing plan. I'm going to one of my spheres or a referral from my sphere. Hopefully they've gotten my card, so they know what I'm talking about. When I'm going in and I'm showing them what one of my just listed cards look like, they might remember of seeing that card that I mailed to them. So instead of constantly telling clients what you could do or potentially will do, you're almost saying, this is what I have done. And you've got proof that you've done it, and hopefully you've got proof within them that they have gotten that card before. Number 4, I list homes on Thursdays. So Thursday's critical, and this is really where I kind of explain to my clients the little things I'm doing to make sure that we're correctly on the market. I find with Thursday, it is, so it's early enough that the home gets picked up by all the portal websites, Trulia, Realtor, Zillow, Redfin. So it gets picked up and people can plan their weekend showings. Number 2, if there is a technical issue, right? If I have a problem and with Bright, shocker, right? That I've got if I find out about the problem on Thursday, I've got a full business day on Friday to resolve the issue. Where someone is in the office 9 to 5 to hopefully deal with the issue, as opposed to putting a listing in on Friday at 5:30, having an issue Saturday morning where no one can help. Number 3, it's late enough in the week that it doesn't rack up unnecessary days on market. So let's say we put it in on Thursday, that's day 0, Friday 1, Saturday 2, Sunday 3, Monday 4. It doesn't sell on Monday or Tuesday number 5, Wednesday 6, Thursday 7, Friday 8, Saturday 9. I'm still in single digits by Saturday, right? Psychologically, I still have a single digit advantage, potentially if it has to go into the next weekend. It's very minor, but I explain this to my clients because I'm looking at these little things, right? I'm trying to make sure I'm creating the best advantage for them possible, right? And part of this, we also talk about like a knowledge gap. So when you show clients that you're doing something that maybe they never thought about, then they start thinking about other things that they maybe haven't thought about that you're already thinking about. Okay, so that's 4 is doing the Thursday listing. Also, what I'm looking for is Thursday, Friday showings. Thursday, Friday showings are the people who have seen the property in the coming soon status, and now they're dive bombing on the property. They're taking off work to show up at the property. They're there first thing. So those are the people I'm following up with, making sure that they know that we're holding the house open over the weekend, that they can come back to the open house. Number 5, reverse prospecting. Anyone using reverse prospecting yet? Okay. So with reverse prospecting, let's see here. So I had a client who, in 30 days, I think she had favorited 24 listings and was interested in like another 80 listings over a 30-day period. 1 call from Joe Shaver, the only agent who ever reached out to me. I look at this as, right? If I do this, I've got a market advantage. No other agents are talking about this in their presentation. So, yep.
Can you explain that a little bit more? Like, I've done a reverse prospecting on a listing.
Uh-huh.
Is this a buyer?
Yeah, so what you're doing, you're the listing agent. Mm-hmm. You can see which agents have sent your listing out, and their clients have favorited it or interested it. Mm-hmm. So I follow up with those agents.
Right.
I don't think other agents are doing that. I'm pretty much guaranteed that other agents will not be doing that. So I'm going to add that into my marketing campaign for my sellers to explain to them, look, I'm taking this extra step.
Right.
And I know for a fact other agents are not doing this.
I did that recently. I got a showing out of it because the agent hadn't known that his client had like favorited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had one agent in the last, how long has it been? 5 months since they started that?
Yeah. What
I mean,
did
obviously
we?
That was like a 2-month.
I think we started in November.
Yeah. So like in the last 3-4 months, one agent has reached out to me.
Yep.
With that. One.
Yep.
I know, and I'm heavy on the buy side, and I have a lot of clients that I send things out to that they favorite and interest, and one realtor has reverse prospecting.
Yep.
with that, your listing presentation, that's a good thing.
That's what we're doing. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So number 5 is the reverse prospecting. Number 6, Facebook ads, AdWork ads, driving traffic to the Sunday open house. No agents do this effectively. Let me see here. Oh. So I do in my presentation, I'll show them the AdWorks ads, Facebook ads, and then the coming soon ads. 7, buyers from Thursday, Friday. What we do is we encourage them to come to the open house on Sunday. Number 8, the mega open house on Sunday. Lots of signs, door knocking around the listing, target marketing, target online ads. Our objective is to get 24 plus people at the open house. And again, I say most agents don't do this. Most agents show up 5 minutes before the open house, put out 3 signs, sit down on the couch, hope no one comes in and bothers them during the Redskins game. Right? And they,
Stalking me now, or what?
but again, my thing is I'm trying to drive a marketplace at that open house. I want to have all the buyers kind of expose themselves to each other, or the buyers see that there's other people in the house. I care less if they wind up buying the house or not.
It's all about volume.
It's right, exactly. Because I want to create that anticipation that someone's going to snatch this house from them. And then 9, we present multiple offers on Monday. So most agents don't get multiple offers on Monday because they don't do steps 1 through 8. And if we don't get multiple offers on Monday, it usually means one of 2 things. Either our condition is off, that people just can't see beyond this, that, or the other, or secondly, and most importantly, our price is off. So, and I prep my clients for this, right? I mean, because I'm able to show them through the marketing plan, and I have screenshots of like the coming soon campaign, the Facebook ad campaign, the AdWorks campaign, that this works. I will bring people to your door. I will get people in the property. Anyone who does show any interest, I'm going to be all over them that first 5 days. But if we don't have offers, it's really going to be up to you guys. Make sure we price it right and it shows really well. And then at that point, if it doesn't go, then I go back, show them, okay, the numbers have worked out. I'm getting all the hits. We had, 18 people at the open house. If you want to make a correction, now's a great time to make it while we still have eyeballs on the property and we're still in single digits on MLS. Okay, so that's when I talk about how you compete with the big broker. I think that's a great way, like if you're up against, let's say, a Craig Northrop, right, who's got tons and tons of volume, right? But I'm going small game. I'm going for all these little details in my presentation that I doubt he's going to be doing that. And I doubt a lot of agents are going to be doing that. The second person who you wind up competing against are the limited service brokers. And how can they lose you money? Because what happens is most people understand top line discount. They understand you're going to be listing my house for 1%, right? What they don't realize then is that, well, if you really want what they call their full service, you got to pay a whole nother percentage more. But then you're still lacking an experienced agent. So areas where they lose clients money, number 1, pricing. Most of these agents aren't very good at pricing properties. So they'll roll a property out at any price. Number 2, pre-marketing. Rarely are they going to do a whole lot of pre-marketing on the property. They're usually just going to throw it into MLS. Number 3, buyer follow-up. They will not be doing buyer follow-up. Because again, there is multiple agents involved in the transaction that no one agent is solely responsible to make sure your listing succeeds. That a lot of things fall through the cracks. Number 4, contract negotiations. Yeah.
Is that the case? I thought that no one agent is really responsible. I thought they had like Redfin, for example. I thought they had like a main listing agent for a certain area, and then they'd have like other maybe assistant agents. Mm-hmm. But how does that work exactly?
So they will have like a main agent who's responsible for procuring the listing and kind of doing the top level. Okay. But any of the detail work is pushed off to someone else. And sometimes what I found with clients is there's been a changing of the guard all the time. They're not 100% sure who will be doing this, that, or the other. That things do fall through the cracks. 3, buyer follow-up. Talked about that. 4, contract negotiations. They lose a lot of money for clients in these contract negotiations. 4, home inspection negotiations. Many of these agents have never been on a home inspection, so they don't know how to negotiate it. Number 6, appraisal. Actually, I just met an appraiser this morning at 9:30, and she was like totally trashing Redfin agents.
I mean,
Yeah, just because she's prejudiced. She knows going in. She knows there's usually problems going in. She said rarely do they ever meet her there with comps or any help whatsoever. And I've seen on other properties where they don't meet the appraisers there. They just give them a 1-day code and hope and pray it goes. But for a lot of the Redfin agents also, they're salaried. So the success of the property, they're going to get paid whether your home sells or not. So sometimes they're not going to put in that extra effort. And then the last thing is sometimes if there are walkthrough issues, these agents aren't as well equipped. Because again, sometimes it may be the junior agent who is responsible for some of these checklist items, but they don't have the resources or the experience to handle a problem situation. It's got to get escalated up to the main listing agent if they have time, if they're ready for a problem. But I think there's definitely with this division of labor, there is places where they bleed their clients' money throughout the process. Okay, so that's kind of my marketing campaign. All 5 points that I try to hit with any kind of marketing. I'll hold off on the Facebook stuff for a quick second. Let's shift gears over to the momentum book real quick. All right, so let's hop to page 5. So, and this book starts working with folks who we don't know, right? This is where we're going over to the don't know column. One of the best ways to market to people we don't know is geographically, and this is farming. Many folks have looked at doing farming plans. And many farming plans fail for a couple fundamental reasons. Page 6. So most farms fail for, number 1, agents aren't consistent enough in their marketing efforts. Number 2, the farm it's not fertile enough. There's not enough turnover, and or the price point just isn't good enough. And number 3, and it kind of gets into consistency. Most agents aren't patient enough. They want results right away. And sometimes what will happen is agents will bite off more than they can chew. They'll go for a 2,000 neighborhood farm, and they wind up burning through their budget in 6 months. So here's the first thing. Once you determine what your farm is and you build out your budget, I tell agents, stroke a check. 2 years to fund the marketing effort in that farm. Stroke a check for that. Put it away. Never regret that it's gone, but consider it gone, right? If you're not committed to doing that, then you shouldn't be farming this area. Or maybe you need to relook at the size of the farm or the price point of the farm. Okay. So, looking at what to mail, midway through the page 6. So, this really hasn't changed over the years. It's pretty simple. Neighborhood update postcards are the number 1 thing to mail to a farm. Because you don't have the relationship with the client, sometimes sending a lot of process education information, you'll get lost in the shuffle because some people may think, okay, is this a CPA sending me stuff? Is this a settlement attorney? Is this a lender? Is this a realtor? Right? What a farm understands is geographically, oh, someone is marketing my neighborhood, right? Pride of ownership, they get that, and they get shutters and gutters, they get homes. So usually a neighborhood update postcard on a monthly basis is ideal. It says in here, note, 8 and 8 listing postcards can be mailed in advance to increase conversion rate. So this is a Hobbs Herder thing. You guys ever heard of Hobbs Herder? Heavy into kind of mail marketing. They have an 8 and 8 postcards over 8 weeks. They had back in the 80s, they did a test where they created a fake agent in a marketplace and sent 8 postcards over 8 weeks. They polled the neighborhood beforehand and afterwards, and within 8 weeks, they were able to get this agent some market influence where they had none before because it was a fake agent. So you can mail into a neighborhood, kind of do like a quick hit to try to get the branding up in the neighborhood, and then start your farming campaign. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the best way to go. It can be expensive, but I think definitely doing the neighborhood update postcards is critical. And I think some people try to do them, one every other month. You got to do them once a month. Where to mail? So choose a neighborhood that has a potential turnover rate of 5% or greater. I think that number's a little high. I think in this marketplace, you could probably do something about a 3% turnover rate. Anything less than that, though, I think you're going to be struggling. It's conducive to the average sales price you desire, and is not currently dominated by another agent. The other thing is, number 4 I'd put in here is you need to have at least 250 homes in that neighborhood to find success. What we find is anything less than that, it's going to hurt your turnover rate. There's just not enough of an audience to really get a lot of traction with. How to mail. Number 1, start by sending the 8 and 8 postcards. And then consistently add new prospects by reinvesting at least 25% of your funds received from farm-related transactions. So the way they talk about this is like a whole new branch of your business. As you have success with farming, is investing a portion of that business to grow the farm a little bit bigger. Because you may have to pick and choose. You may pick a 500 home neighborhood, but your budget will only allow 250. What you want to do is reinvest some of the income you make to try to get that number up each and every year. But you reinvest that money back into the program.
Joe,
Uh-huh.
have you seen many agents or in our office have success with this? Do you have any success stories or other stories?
Yeah, I mean, I guess an easy example, Susan Ellis, she's had great success in James Creek, in Olney, kind of doing farm marketing, but it takes time.
Yeah, she sends out like 5,000 pieces.
Yep.
Sends them out.
She's grown it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she started initially a lot smaller than that. Marie Kolick does a similar thing in Damascus. So yeah, folks do. But I think again, a lot of times, the farm marketing it can be expensive. It's passive. It's very much reliant on people calling into you. And I think sometimes most agents will dabble in it, and that's where I think you got to commit to it. It's got to commit to 24 mailings over 2 years. And there's little things you can do nowadays, I think, to increase your odds of having success. And I must say that because we are bombarded with so much marketing these days, I think you've got to do some extras. So I look at like neighborhoods. If you're going to pick a farm neighborhood, like pick one with an elementary school where everyone kind of goes to the same elementary school, where there are kind of like little pockets of activity. Pick ones that have like a swim team, a pool where there's activity, because during the summer that's where people congregate. That's where if you are going to market, maybe there's a happy hour opportunity that you can kind of get face to face with some of these people. I've had some people like, for instance, I had an agent who was looking at farming and she lives in Glenwood, and it's kind of disconnected streets of 25 homes, trying to create a marketplace there was a little more difficult. Not everyone went to the same exact pool. A lot of kids she had a son who's in an elementary school, so that kind of made sense. She was going to start building a farm around that. But you got to be smart about how and what you're doing. And when it comes to neighborhoods, we also help folks. We use a program called Broker Metrics. Like we looked at, let's see here, back, like this was a year and a half ago, looked at Belpre Woods versus Wheaton Hills. So Belpre Woods had 936 tax IDs. Wheaton Hills had 938. Very similar, kind of just on paper, they looked very similar. But Belpre Woods had 42 sales in 12 months. Wheaton Hills only had 32. Belpre Woods had 35 million in volume. Wheaton Hills only had 25 million. You want to look back historically to make sure that that 1 year wasn't the outlier. But you also, sometimes people also pick neighborhoods for emotional reasons. When you really want to make sure that you justify it with logic. Make sure you understand that there's a dollars and cents to this, and make sure the numbers work out.
Joe, so what would you recommend for that? Like you just said, you have a program, Broker Metrics,
Uh-huh.
or like, is that something that we could have access to, or should we be going into MLS?
Yeah, you can, either way. Broker Metrics is a program I have a license for. It just
Okay.
sits on top of MRIS data or Bright Data and kind of crunches it easier. So if there are neighborhoods you want to look at, I can run those reports for you. And then when to mail, they talk about the 8 and 8. And then mailing on a monthly basis. And even a hack that some agents who have a lot of success with farming, first quarter, they'll actually go every 3 weeks and move up their, if they were going to do 12 mailings throughout the year, they'll kind of put a little more effort, get an extra mailing in that first quarter, because that's when sellers start making those decisions. Okay. Page 7, this is just a idea of a neighborhood update card. Page 8, quarterly, is sending out kind of an advanced card that starts kind of building a little bit of your brand, how you're different than the regular realtor. Sometimes that could be a power card, one where you show all the listings out, even outside the neighborhood, that you've sold. So as you're building the brand within the neighborhood, now you're building your credibility kind of with process and your other success stories. Other things you can mail to a farm, for instance, because it's geographically located, school calendars are great. If there is something school related, if there is a school that all the kids are going to. Page 9, and this is this is kind of a harder thing to get into, but this is where I think you can make a big difference, is having a dialogue and actually making some phone calls into the neighborhood. Getting phone numbers is harder, but either door knocking, having a school directory, getting in touch with people will increase your odds. Page 10, talks about neighborhood websites. This is kind of an advanced approach. You can also use Facebook. Anyone been doing Nextdoor yet?
I've been dabbling in it,
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't paid any money yet.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
What's next door? I feel like I saw an ad for it a couple months ago, and then I never saw it again. But I feel like I've heard it like 2 or 3 times within the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. So
Actually, is it?
it's almost like a listserv, and they have marketing opportunities now for agents. They were very restrictive on what agents could do. Now they're allowing agents to start posting listings if you pay them to be in it.
Oh, so that's not even what I was thinking. I just realized the other one that I saw, it was Park Bench or something. Like,
Yeah. So
I
Park.
didn't really pay much attention to
Yeah,
it.
so Park Bench is one where they give you the tools to create a neighborhood website. They kind of, using video, interviewing the baker, the bike store, the coffee shop in the neighborhood. I haven't seen a lot, in all honesty. I think implementation is really tough.
Yeah.
And that's where they say this is an advanced approach. I think you'd want to commit to the mailings, commit to getting active in the neighborhood before you start going into the, I think it's a lot harder to kind of have the social media.
Started with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this gives you content on things that you could put in your neighborhood website. But I think even, just posting stuff, once you start getting some traction about the neighborhood. Like in Olney when Santa comes through, right? Making sure you're the person who's posting that information about the Santa run, the neighborhood cleanup, the yard sale. Some people have done, within their farm areas, have done shred events during the spring. So those are little things, it's where you've got to be a little more savvy than you had to be in the past with farming. Okay. Page 12, this is what we call the property call plan. So this is just a dialogue for incoming sign calls. And then I'll skip to, real quick, back to the farm. One hack that Ellen Coleman taught me. In her areas where she farms, she has a couple clients. She gives them brown manila envelopes, and she has them collect throughout the month any postcards they get from other real estate agents. She comes by once a month and collects those envelopes, gives them the Starbucks gift card. So now she knows who she's competing against. She knows, okay, I got Mike Ray, who's 3.95, and I've got Craig Northrup. They're the only ones who are mailing consistently, right? So now she knows, okay, this is what I'm going to be up against if I'm going into any of these cold listing appointments. So it's really good to understand who is marketing in that neighborhood. Sometimes people believe, what's his name has that neighborhood completely locked down. And what you find out is A, they used to 10 years ago, right? And B, they're not mailing it all into that neighborhood. So sometimes I've seen some agents shy away from areas, and maybe that would have been a good opportunity. Okay. Let's skip to page 22. So these are, and again, this is a little bit of an older manual, and this talks about the home ads. And I think Facebook gives you a great opportunity to create home ads. In the past, people were using like Craigslist or your local neighborhood newspaper, your Sentinel, Journal, Gazette, to run ads on, list of foreclosure properties, first-time home buyer properties. Facebook allows you to, and I was talking this with Molly, is, it's the find an itch and scratch it marketing, where if you look out there in the marketplace, okay, right now, what are hot buttons, right? Inventory's low, right? So here's a list of all the off-market properties in Olney, Brookville, Ashton, right? So, what does that mean? Well, you can pull up a list, even just straight out of Bright, of all the coming soon properties, right? They're not going to see those potentially on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, Redfin. So create an ad with that, right? It's a response ad. Looking for new homes in Clarksburg, here's a list of all the new homes. Click here to learn more, right? Where you find that itch and you scratch it. And you can do that with a lot of different things if you think about it. Like, we're coming into like the spring, right? Homes with pools, right? Homes with, for if you were going after the horse community, homes that have barns. So there's a lot of ads you can run that really are kind of call to actions that kind of get people in those marketplaces. With Facebook, it allows you to kind of target market some of these interests, automobiles, horses, and location. Open houses, short sales, foreclosures are other areas that you can kind of put those hot buttons out there. Okay. And then the last one is the just listed, just sold campaign. So I'll tell you, a lot of brokerages, I've always taught agents in the past, when it comes to marketing, yeah, you do circle marketing. You have a new listing, send out just listed cards around that listing, right? Once you sell it, send just sold listing cards. Just sold cards. I don't completely hate that, but I also see a lot of agents do that and then never send any of it to their sphere. So always, if you're going to do a just listed card, send it to your sphere first. Bless you. If you have extra budget, then look at doing some circle prospecting and sending a card, or better yet, door knocking a card before your open house to that neighborhood. So the dirty little brokerage secret is the reason why a lot of agents have been taught to do that circle prospecting is from a broker point of view, 1 in 10 agents makes it, right? So 9 agents are going to be gone from the business. But if 10 agents are sending a postcard to a neighborhood with my brokerage name on it, I'm going to get the business, right? So I want you to push the brokerage name out there all the time to a group of people who potentially aren't coming back to you, they're coming back to me. So that's why a lot of agents over the years have been taught this prospecting technique. It's good for the brokerage. I don't think it's necessarily great for the agent. Because sometimes that business will come to you, but it's really rare that just a one-off postcard will definitely drive you business. And I see a lot of agents wasting a lot of money doing that. Unless number one, you're sending it to your sphere first. Then number two, if you are doing it, any chance you get to make sure that you get in front of people, voice to voice, face to face, you increase your odds of success. So again, open houses are great opportunities. So if you do door knock that Wednesday before your open house with a just listed card, inviting people to that open house, that's really good. But if you're just going to mail out and never have any contact with any of those people beyond that mailing, it's really hard to see a lot of results from that. Make sense? Anyone do that? Have a lot of success?
It makes sense, because you don't want to put something out all the time, because then, if that's not relevant to that person at the time, by the time it is relevant to them, they'll probably forget that you were even there because you weren't consistent with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And why waste the budget sending one thing out if you're not gonna follow up with anything else?
Yeah. And again, that's where I think I'm not a big door knocking proponent, but I'd say if you have a brand new listing, in the next 6 months, there's bound to be one home in a 20 home radius around that listing that's going to go on the market. If you did door knock, invited them over, made that personal introduction and show them that you're hustling, and it's a property that like you have their neighbor's key, they can see the sign. You're not just some random person dropped into their neighborhood. You got a lot more credibility. Yeah. Anyone do any door knocking? Pat?
Not in a long time.
Okay.
I've been known to do that from time to time.
Yeah.
If I get extremely bored. And it's effective. I mean, if nothing else, they know who you are.
Right.
And you might get turned away a lot. Say, that's okay. Walk away.
Yeah.
Smiling. No, not in a while.
Yeah.
So, just get all my exercise doing that.
Yeah, and I'd say even just on a small, like the adjacent homes to the home that you have listed, that's a great marketplace.
Yeah.
And again, my joke to myself, because I always have a fear of doing this, I always tell myself, look, I have a key to their neighbor's house, right? I'm trusted. I'm not some complete freak
Right.
who's just trying to, get their business or case out their home kind of thing. Okay. So last but not least, Facebook ads. Real quick, number one, everyone here have a business page? Okay, good. Use high quality photography on your business page. Make sure all your contact information is in there. I encourage folks to create an intro video on their Facebook business page and pin it to the top so that when people do come onto your Facebook business page, it's almost like, someone comes to your front door, right? Say, hey, you welcome them, right? Especially a stranger. This is like your storefront of your business. You want to make sure you're welcoming people into your business and why they should keep coming further into your business. And make sure on your personal page, on your Pat Messett Facebook page, it says that you work at Pat Messett Realtor as well. Because what happens is if people find you personally, it has a works at and I would make sure that that is tied to your business Facebook page. As much as I like getting Facebook business for Remax Realty Center, you want the business coming to you directly. Number 2, what to post. So number 1, you got to understand what's important to your customer. How frequently do they purchase your product or service, right? So in the real estate world, you don't need to post that much, right? So if you were and I always use this as an example, if you were a cybersecurity company, right? Constantly you'd need to be posting stuff about new patches, new viruses, new stuff that was coming out, right? Because people need that service like on a minute by minute basis. For us, most of the people coming to our business page aren't necessarily, there are some people who've been referred there, but most people aren't going to need our service for 5 to 7 years on average. So having like 13 posts every day is sometimes overkill. It's not necessary. And understanding where they come from. And I think for us, most of our business will be coming from pretty much a 20-mile radius around our business. So product, brands, and process. So videos, native versus YouTube. So if you are doing any videos on Facebook, make sure that you are what they call natively uploading your videos. So if you are posting it on YouTube, that's great because it's going to get people finding it from Google. But don't share that YouTube video on your Facebook page. Put the original video on Facebook. Facebook likes when you give them original content. They don't want, because Google and Facebook are competitors, they don't want to see YouTube videos, so they make them look not very good and make them hard to get to. If you are doing videos, keep them short. I said under 45 seconds. Definitely no more than 2 minutes. Quick hit videos. People don't have a lot of attention span for anything longer than 45 seconds. And with Facebook, it will auto-populate captions. So once you upload a video onto Facebook, it gives you an option where you can put captions on it. A lot of folks do watch video without sound on, so captions do help and keep their attention. Images, if you are going to put any images on Facebook, no more than 20% of the photo can have text on it. Facebook will reject a lot of stuff that has too much text on it. Also, recognition. Remember, this is social. So people will post about you, which is a great thing, right? So encourage your vendors, your customers, to post about you. We tried doing that a lot with our agent awards, things like that, because we wanted to go kind of viral, that someone else is bragging for you. So, again, like if you've got a lender you work with a lot or a title company you work with a lot, ask them to post stuff about you, right? Congratulating you. With your ads also, always make sure there's a call to action. I see so many dead-end ads on Facebook where someone has a great message. They got a great product out there, but there's nowhere to shop. There's nowhere to go take that next step to learn more. And we're all getting really like lazy these days that like, if I've got to go like plug I've got to go find your information, go plug it into a website. It's just an unnecessary step that you're making me take when all you had to do is just put a link to where you wanted me to go next. Would have been a lot easier.
Make it easy for people to follow you.
Yep, absolutely. And the thing about social media marketing that's different than print marketing in the past, a lot of us came from a print marketing world. With print, you had to get your call to action. You had to get everything there in that one message, like on that. If you had that one square you were using in the Homes and Land magazine, you had to get someone interested at that moment, because the only thing they could have done was they would have to call you, drive to your office, or drive to that house if you were having an open house, right? There was a lot of effort that had to come, so you had to really entice them. On social media, you only have to give them a couple things to kind of get them interested to take a click further, right? And then once they take that click further, another click further, right? So you don't have to necessarily sell it all in that ad. And that's the one thing that I work with a lot of agents on, kind of transitioning that mindset. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. Events are great, right? It's a call to action too, an event, because an event is something that if you miss it on, February 18th, you've missed it. So now is your chance. If you're going to act on it now. I'm big on having links in any ad. Again, have them take a step closer. If they want a lot of information, I've got a whole website that's got tons of information about this. If they are interested, those are the people I want to know about, right? And then I've got, for properties, I do a 4-3-1 formula, and I'll show you that in a second. How frequently do I post? I think once a week is sufficient on your business page. Again, I look at, you should socially be posting, within reason. I think probably once every other day at least. Because again, if people are drawn to you socially, they're going to work with you as well. Number 4, boosted posts versus ads manager. So if you look on Facebook, they've got a thing called boost post. Don't use that. They love wasting your money using that. Facebook has a thing called ads manager. It's up in this corner up here. Manage ads. So if you were ever going to do an ad, and I can walk you through this later on, this is where you want to create your ads, is in the ads manager, not in the boosted post. This is where folks who are serious about marketing go to. Your Nike execs, people who are doing ads for a living, use ads manager. People who want to get their brand out there and don't know what the hell they're doing, use boosted posts. And Facebook knows that. Okay. Using Ads Manager, you can create custom audiences, create geographic searches with pin drops, modified radiuses. You can create demographics around interests and behaviors.
Are those based on like what people like on Facebook? So like the pages that they already are following and that they've already marked as their interest, that's how it groups those together? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's even ridiculous ones, like I'll show people sometimes, like you can go like peanut allergies. Like people who are, because again, it depends on your product you're trying to push. If you've got a peanut-free peanut butter, right? Like you're going to want to target that thing at people who have peanut allergies, right? And there's people who like different peanut allergy groups or in a peanut allergy support group on Facebook. So with real estate, you got to be a little careful for fair housing reasons on some of the demographics you go after. But on some properties that have, like I've had a couple that have had multiple car garages, like 4+, where we've targeted it at automobiles, like people whose interests are automobiles. Horse properties, targeting people who are, looking for horse, who are involved in horse things. Other things, placements. On Facebook, I'm a big proponent of putting it only in the news feeds, which are right in the middle. So we'll edit the news where we place them so that they only show up in the news feed, because I think that's where most people are going to look for on Facebook. I mean, the right-hand column, some of those extra things, I just don't look at. And then I always say with the budget, start low and grow, right? You don't need to overpay for your Facebook ads, and a lot of people way overpay because it's relatively cheap. But if you think about our business, really, like if you put a townhome on the market today here in Olney, I mean, in the next 3 months, there's probably maybe 200 people who could, should, or would buy that property. So you don't need to, and the other thing is they're probably, 90% of them are in a 15 to 20 mile radius of that property. So other people who sell, let's say you sell shoes, I mean, your marketplace is billions of people. Ours is like 200 people, right? So that's all you got to do is really just hone that marketing down to a little more centralized, which is great. Organic versus paid. So I'll sometimes share my stuff on my personal page. So I put everything on my business page and then share it out on my personal page. Not all the time, but occasionally I'll do that. Here's the other thing is have your clients, anytime you do a post, let's say about someone's listing, have them share it. And this is huge. And this is kind of, I found this by accident, is that what I find is that you all of a sudden, you get a third party endorsement because you get your clients, Ron and Sue, to post on their social media page that they're selling their house, it's open this weekend, and their real estate agent, Molly Love, is the one who's representing them. So Ron and Sue's 250 sphere of influence people who Molly has never met a soul, hasn't met one of them. Now all of a sudden, Ron and Sue are telling people that, Molly Love is a trusted resource in my sphere because she's listing our property.
It's like a review without a review.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it brings other people outside, and that's ideally what you want is, we always talk about our sphere of influence, but it's really our sphere of influences, spheres of influence. That's where you can really grow your business. So definitely making sure your clients share out your content is really important. And then at the end of the day, track your results. Because if you track your results, then you can use that in your presentations. Just like I was showing you guys with the listing presentation, sharing those results. Like this is one, this gentleman he has 3 kids who are all in their 30s to 40s. They're big on social media, so they were sharing this thing. This thing got shared out 7 different times, right? It just boosted this number up way above, like the organic reach was almost as much as my paid reach. And an ad like this, so I look at this is an ad that's got almost 4,500 reach and 1,500 clicks. I spent like $30 on this.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So you can use that, and again, I cut and paste, put this in my listing presentation, kind of as a proof of success. So looking at Facebook ads, and I'll just show you kind of what sorry. So this is the first one I ever did of these Facebook ads back in 2015. So this is a property on Abbey Manor, just one of the coolest houses ever. And actually, so if you'll see here, this person, Christy Weaver, she actually wound up buying it. So she grew up in Manor Country Club. They were going to buy a house in Manor, weren't coming out to Alney. And a girl who I went to high school with, also went to Manor with her growing up as a kid. She saw the ad and she told Christy, she said, "You have to go look at this house." Christy would have never, ever seen this house if it wasn't for Cindy showing her the house on social media. That's when it was like, oh wow, like this stuff can really work. So I looked at kind of like, well, are there ways to make this a little bit better? There's a lot of people who post on social media, and I see a lot of these kind of ads. A lot of information, and then kind of a link. And this is an auto-posted ad for this that this company did for this agent. It's an auto-posted ad. So you don't really control a lot of the content. Sometimes it's going into the ad. And in this case, they named what the road was, and the road's actually a busy road. So I may have been really turned off by this property if I found out it was on this busy road. I may not even take another look. I may not be interested, or I may think that I'm not interested in ramblers. So I may have been initially turned off when actually the kitchen is killer in this property, right? And that's what I'm really interested in. Square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, right? This actually may have been a 3-bedroom with a den that could have been converted to a 4th bedroom, but now I'm not going to look at this property. So that's where sometimes too much information initially can turn off a potential consumer. So that's why I always want to let my photos tell the story a little bit better. And that's the great thing about social media is the photos come across a whole lot better than they did in the print world. So I don't need to use as many words. I can use images to get people emotionally closer.
I know I always look at pictures first and then read the descriptions after, so, pictures always catch my interest, especially when there's multiple ones and you can flip through and then if you like the pictures, then you read the description and find out more.
Yep. And this is kind of like a side-by-side comparison. Here's an example of how pictures can also do you harm. The one on the left is a Weichert agent out of Germantown who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So he posted, this is the, kind of in the gallery, this is what shows up. And it's the least attractive parts of the property. And he's got basically three angles of the same, kitchen, when he really wasted a lot of time and effort. Yeah, I would not click through to see what other crappy 16 photos look like after this, right? So I would move on.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it is. 16 more reasons why you don't want this house.
Right. So, social media gets you to the point. Here's one that I did for a property. What to get your dad for Father's Day. Huge master suite edition. Pool and 6-car garage. Not a bad start. Open Sunday, June 18th, 12 to 2. No address, no bedrooms, no bathrooms, no 42-inch cabinets. I didn't get into the nitty-gritty. What I wanted people to do is fall in love with the pool, right? Because that's one of the nicest things about the home, or the kitchen, or the family room, and then get them to click through on this True Place link. We'll give them the price, the street address, all the information that they want. But that's what I want them to do. It's like clickbait, I just want them to take that step closer. And if you're tracking your results, right, you're getting more people click through, then you can use that in your listing appointments to show people that, yes, my ads are very effective. Okay, so that was really kind of the formula for the ads. This is that 4-3-1, 4 things about the property. 4 photos about the property, 3 things about the property, and then 1 link. So if anyone's ever interested in running these, I can always sit down and help you with them. We can do it by webinar. But I also talk about, when we were talking about with why do so many agents not do coming soon? And I think just a lot of it is, it's kind of joking, agents are lazy. And I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I think it's the marketing plan kind of gets put on the back burner and with the timelines. And I think we do a really good job getting properties ready for market, but we sometimes don't do a good job making sure we market what we're getting ready for the market. So, any questions? Cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, bud. Yeah, bud. Thank you.